The sun dipped low in the sky, casting elongated shadows across Maplewood High School's parking lot. My heart pounded in my chest as I rounded the corner, and a rush of anxiety twisted my stomach into knots. It was not the big crush of anxiety that came from the impending end-of-year exams or the pressure of final projects. No, this felt different, like the very air around me crackled with anticipation. I could see it from a distance, glinting in the weak evening light. My old clunker, my pride and joy, sat there alone, abandoned as if it were just a forgotten relic of a past life. It was a beat-up, faded blue hatchback with rust creeping up the sides, but it was mine and I loved it. Jasmine, a voice called from my left, and I twisted around to see Mia, my best friend, trotting toward me, her long brown hair bouncing with each step. She was always so vibrant, like sunshine personified. "Are you ready for this?" she asked, a hint of mischief in her eyes. Feeling the weight of the moment settle into my bones, I replied, "Ready as I'll ever be. Have you seen them around? I swear I can hear their laughter echoing in my head." Mia rolled her eyes, her face scrunching up comically. "You need to stop expecting them to just jump out and admit they've been the worst. Besides, it is kind of fun to imagine the look on their faces when this all blows up in their faces." I let out a shaky laugh, glancing over at the parking space where my clunker resided. The sight of it, perched there like a guardian angel, reassured me. And to think all of this started because of a stupid rumor that spread like wildfire. I mean, who does that? You know, Rose and her crew live for drama. They probably think they are the queens of Maplewood High. All they do is gossip and stab people in the back, Mia said, crossing her arms over her chest. Her expression morphed into one of fierce determination. "But you aren't going to let them win, right? You have a plan, don't you?" I smiled tightly, my mind flashing back to the events that had led me here. Just a month ago, everything felt fine, normal even. But then, whispers began to circulate about me that dug deep into my professional life as a junior class representative. They claimed I had cheated on a project, something so far from the truth it practically screamed innocence. And who had started this tangled mess? Rose, with her perfectly painted nails and her pristine ponytail, as if she existed in some fairy tale where she ruled over all. "Of course I have a plan." I searched Mia's eyes for reassurance and perhaps courage for myself. "They are about to realize that I am not the one they will trample on anymore." "Good, it's about time you stood your ground," Mia added, her voice rising in excitement. "You know we have your back, right?" "I can't thank you enough for that. I wish there was a way to not have to do this alone." My thoughts whirled, contemplating everything that had been said and done. My heart grew heavy. Just thinking about ruining their perfect little bubble feels good, especially after they tore mine apart. Mia stepped closer, her confidence wrapping around me like a comforting blanket. I could feel the warmth radiating off her, an anchor in the storm I found myself in. "Well, what do you want to do next?" I mean, besides sending their silly little gossip back in their faces. I took a deep breath, my resolve strengthening as I gestured toward my trusty clunker. "First, I just need to get the engine started. It can be cranky sometimes, but once it roars to life, we can set this whole thing into motion." "'Kay, I'll stay right here and yell beast mode if you need me," Mia laughed, clapping her hands together as I made my way toward the car. Its worn hinges creaked as I opened the driver's side door, the scent of old leather and gasoline filling the air. I noticed the faintest hint of dust lining the dashboard. It had been a while since I'd driven it to school. I settled into the crumbling seat, the familiar contours pressing against my legs, and immediately started turning the key. The engine hesitated, making a noise that rang out like a dying horse. I grimaced. "Come on, old friend, don't let me down now," breathed Jasmine. "Just give it some time," Mia cheered from outside, and I could see her bobbing her head like an enthusiastic cheerleader. Her encouragement pulsed through me, connecting the threads of my resolve. After a couple more turns of the key, the engine sputtered and then roared to life, a grinding sound that reverberated sweetly through the clunker. I smiled wide and pounded my hands on the steering wheel in victory. "Yes, we did it. Now that is the sound of revenge right there," Mia shouted, making a gesture as if she were wielding a sword. My laughter exploded into the evening air, so bright and full of life that I could almost believe it would scare the rumors right out of existence. Shifting into gear, I felt an electric thrill rush through me. I looked at Mia, whose eyes were gleaming with mischief. "We need to go to their hangout first. If we are going to send the message, we make sure they know that we are not afraid anymore." "Agreed." "Just make sure you don't run over anyone on our way there," she joked, and I rolled my eyes as I backed out of the parking space. "And we might want to turn up the radio, you know, to add effect." As I pulled into the main road, I turned the dial until the upbeat notes of my favorite song drenched us like a cool ocean wave. The pulsating rhythm replaced the nervous energy coursing through my veins with something more potent and fierce. I could feel the thrill of what was to come, knowing that today was the day I took my power back. Together, we circled around the school campus, the sun slipping lower as we cruised through the familiar neighborhoods. I caught sight of groups of students socializing, their chatter drizzling into the air like melting ice on a hot day. Roses to the left, laughing and pointing like hyenas taunting their prey. In the mix of their laughter, I heard my name, Jasmine, and my blood boiled. Do you hear that? I said, my voice simmering with rage. They think they can just walk all over me, and I will take it like a doormat. We should show them what you are made of, Mia encouraged, the fire in her voice soaring as we approached the hangout spot, a small park with a makeshift swing set, where Rose and her minions often gathered after school to laugh about their latest mischief. As we pulled into the grassy area adjoining the park, I could feel butterflies swirling through my stomach. This is it, Mia. We are going to confront some serious reality checks today. You just do your thing, and I will keep the cheerleading squad ready, she said with a wink. I parked the clunker, its engine sputtering nervously to a halt. I could see Rose's bright hair bobbing up and down among the group, her malicious laughter penetrating my resolve. I took a deep breath. It all came down to this moment. How I chose to stand up for myself would echo through Maplewood. I stepped out of the car, the warm breeze tousling my hair, fortifying my spirit. Showtime, I whispered, my blood racing in unison with the pounding bass from the radio. Mia hopped out beside me, ready for whatever came next. Suddenly, Rose's gaze caught mine, her laughter faltering as she registered the fierceness in my eyes. Look who finally decided to crawl out of her hole, she shouted with mock surprise, crossing her arms over her perfectly shaped figure. Enough of the fake stories, Rose, I called back, feeling the energy around me shift and locked my eyes onto her. You think you can twist what happened in that group project and get away with it? You have underestimated the girl you tried to trample on. The surrounding conversation quieted as her laughter faded. The remaining girls exchanged shocked glances, eyes now glued on me, the tension shifting like a live wire against the breezy weather. What are you going to do about it? Rose retorted, venom lacing her words. I clenched my fists, feeling my heart rate quicken. I am not afraid of you anymore. I have the truth on my side and I will tell it loud and clear. Maybe you'll even regret those pathetic rumors. At that moment, I saw the flicker of uncertainty in her eyes, just enough to spark my courage. Mia's silent support rested on my shoulder like a guardian, and I could feel my heart swelling with the fierce sense of righteousness. Whatever, Jasmine. This is just your desperate attempt to be noticed, Rose brushed off, but the shifting expressions of her followers showed cracks in her facade. Denial won't save you forever. I am coming for what you take for granted. Are you ready for that? I said, my voice rising, strong and determined like the sound of a marching band beating through the fear of a storm. As her expression hardened, I felt the weight of confidence wrap around me, igniting a flicker of hope deep within. This was just the beginning, and through each confrontation, many more will come. Of course, Rose, if you want to play games, you better be ready to face the consequences. I called, reveling in the thrilling rush of embodying the unexpected protagonist of my own story. Bring it on, she sneered, but I could see that for the first time, uncertainty danced in her eyes. As we stood there, the final rays of the sun dipping beneath the edge of the horizon, I thought back to my old clunker waiting for me. This moment was only the first spark of the fire I planned to stoke. One day, they would see me for who I was, a force not to be underestimated, someone who would no longer accept lies whispered in the dark. I was Jasmine Blake, and this was only the beginning of the retaliation that would shake Maplewood to its core. The sun was just starting to dip below the skyline of Maplewood, and the colors of dusk painted the world in shades of orange and purple. I stood in my room, the air thick with anticipation. The textures of the carpet beneath my bare feet felt rough, contrasting with the smooth surface of my desk, where I had laid out everything I would need for my plan. I took a deep breath, the scent of vanilla from my candle mixing with the faint smell of the old wood in my room. It calmed me as I pretended it was a shield against the heavy thoughts weighing on my mind. It had been nearly a week since Jason Trent, the local bully, had stomped on my dignity, splattered it across the cafeteria floor like yesterday's lunch. For him, it had just been another day of amusement, but for me, it had set in motion a firestorm of determination. My fingers trembled as I brushed over the items I had collected. A pair of pliers, some rubber bands, and most importantly, a long, tangled mess of cable. Most people might have thought of it as junk, but I saw potential. This is it, Jasmine, I whispered to myself, my heart racing. This is how you show him you are not someone to mess with. I remembered his laughter, echoing in my mind like a horrid soundtrack to my defeat as he mocked me in front of my so-called friends. I clenched my fists and let the little rush of anger invigorate me. I could feel the heat rising in my cheeks. My phone buzzed against the desk, pulling me from my thoughts. It was Claire, my best friend, and her text lit up the screen, a beacon of normalcy amid my chaotic thoughts. "Hey, you coming over to study? Need your genius brain?" I smile at her optimism. "Yeah, right," I muttered to myself. She thought I was focused on algebra, but truth was, revenge was taking over my mind. I scrolled and typed back, "On my way, be there in 10. I hesitated briefly, glancing at the dummy cables and the tools meant for clever little traps. I stored them in my backpack, tucking them away like secrets waiting to be unleashed. "Just a little time for preparation," I whispered, the zip of the backpack sealing in my ambitions. I walked out of my house, where the world felt layered, as if reality itself was slipping through my fingers. As I headed down the block, my heart raced, not just from the thought of confronting Jason, but from the thrill of finally standing up for myself. As I crossed the street towards Claire's house, I analyzed every tiny detail around me. The way the grass swayed gently in the breeze, the children playing in the park, their laughter ringing out sweet and carefree compared to the chaos in my mind. I envisioned how my plan would eliminate the power Jason had over me. Claire opened her front door with a bright smile, her auburn hair glistening in the remaining sunlight. "You made it," she squealed, pulling me into a quick hug, her warmth soothing my frayed nerves. "Come on, I have snacks. Let's make algebra less boring." I followed her inside, the familiar smell of popcorn and something sugary giving me a sense of home in her chaotic household. The living room was decorated with a disarray of school books, art supplies, and old magazine clippings, all piled together in a way that felt busy but oddly comforting. "You look a little tense," Claire commented, her brow furrowed with concern as she poured a bowl of popcorn. "Everything okay?" "Yeah, just a lot on my mind," I replied, forcing a smile that felt plastered onto my face. I didn't want to worry her, not when my heart sank into the deep waters of plotting vengeance. "Well, maybe studying will help keep your mind off it," she said matter-of-factly, her bright blue eyes searching mine for any hint of distress. "Sure, let's tackle that algebra together," I said, grabbing a notebook and a pencil, but my focus was divided. My thoughts traipsed back to Jason, back to the cafeteria where his friends had laughed like a pack of hyenas. "Hey, I need your help with this one," I said suddenly, pointing to a problem I had barely glanced at. Claire scooted closer, flipping her hair over her shoulder. "This one is easy," she declared, charging ahead with confidence. I allowed her words to wash over me, her enthusiasm making the air feel lighter. The harder she worked, the more my mind wandered away, back to the tangled mess I had waiting in my backpack. A plan was forming in my head, and it had to wait for the right moment. My heart raced at the thought. "You okay?" Claire asked again, waving her hand in front of my face. I blinked, snapping back to her. "Yeah, sorry, I just, thinking of how to solve this." I flipped the notebook over, curious glances bouncing between our eyes. "I'm kind of worried about the upcoming math test, you know." I added hastily, desperate to reroute the conversation. "What are you talking about? You're the math wizard." Claire laughed, taking a bite of popcorn. "Remember last time, you practically got a perfect score." An uneasy laugh shaped itself on my lips. "Just want to make sure I keep it that way." The minutes ticked by as Claire persisted with explanations, her voice softly drifting into the background as my thoughts danced around my plans instead. With each passing moment, I was reminded that I was not merely a victim waiting for the storm to pass. I was becoming the storm. Time slipped through my fingers, intricate plots and designs forming behind my eyes. As Claire continued to explain a difficult algebra concept, I had to brush my sweaty palms against my jeans, nervous energy surging through me as I envisioned the perfect trap. The dummy cable would be my secret weapon. I imagined Jason stepping on it, losing his balance, the smug look wiped off his face. The idea made me crack a smile, and I realized I needed to voice my vengeful thoughts. "Hey, what would happen if someone wanted to teach a bully a lesson?" I asked casually, trying to keep my tone light. Claire frowned, puzzled. "A bully, like Jason, why would you want to do that?" "Just curious," I shrugged, a smirk creeping onto my face. "I mean, sometimes people need to learn boundaries, right? Maybe a little harmless prank." "Prank?" Claire leaned forward, her interest piqued. "What are you thinking, Jasmine?" The twinkle in her eyes nearly made me reconsider spilling the entire plan. "Nothing major, just a little confusion, I guess. Like when they trip or something, would that be too much?" Claire laughed lightly, but I noticed the uncertainty trailing behind it. "It depends. What did Jason do this time? I mean, I know he is a jerk," she added, rolling her eyes. He did this thing during lunch, embarrassing me in front of everyone, I mumbled, biting the inside of my cheek. But I don't want to bother you with my issues. Jasmine, you know I am here for you, right? You can totally tell me. Did he say something about your blogs again? The guilt nagged at me, pulling at my intentions, but the temptation to share felt too strong. It was worse than that, I admitted, unable to hide the feelings bubbling within me. He threw my lunch away and made a big deal out of it, all his friends laughing like it's the funniest thing ever. What a jerk, Claire exclaimed, clenching her fist in solidarity. That can't go without a lesson. You definitely need to teach him that this behavior is unacceptable. Her words echoed in the corners of my mind, igniting the flickering flame of revenge that had already been beginning to blaze. Maybe I do need to show him a thing or two, I murmured, my heart pounding as I imagined everything that could happen. What do you want to do? Claire asked, innocence dancing in her eyes. I don't know yet, maybe something that'll make him think twice, you know. My voice dropped to a conspiratorial whisper, even though the thrill buzzed through me like I was spilling a secret. Like a harmless trip in the hallway, my excitement bubbled up, hoping she would join in on the mischief. Claire's eyes grew wide. You are serious, you want to take down Jason? It's just a thought, I said quickly, not wanting to dive too deep. But hear me out, I have this old cable, and I was thinking I could find a way to tangle it up in his locker, you know, just a bit of embarrassment. Claire's laughter was bubbly, spirited. That actually sounds kind of clever. Then her smile dropped slightly. But what if he gets hurt, or finds out it was you? I weighed her concerns, letting them cascade through my mind like the comedic mischief of a cartoon. The whole world can't always revolve around people like him, right? He needs to know he can't get away with things forever. Claire tilted her head, drama flowing through her gaze. And what do you do when he finds out? People don't mess with Jasmine Blake. I laughed, confidence spinning around me like a whirlwind. That child will think twice about crossing me. I realized that Claire was sitting there considering my resolve, the brightness of her innocence juxtaposed against my newfound boldness. Fine, but let me help. 2 brains are better than 1, right? Claire beamed, her excitement radiating. I nodded, feeling the growing bond between us tightening like a rope. Together, we were an unstoppable force, ready to forge a new path amidst the chaos. Let's brainstorm then, I cheered, laughter bubbling in my heart. The adrenaline pumping through my veins felt exhilarating, carving out space for plans, each one more intense than the last. I eyed the clock, realizing that soon it would be time for me to face Jason, and I could already taste the sweet victory waiting just within reach. First, we will need to time it right, I declared with steely determination. I don't want him to see it coming. The brainstorming continued with each passing moment, our laughter blending with ideas as our world continued into the twilight of Maplewood. A sundown filled with potential and revenge, simmering just beneath the surface I stood in front of my bathroom mirror, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead as the silence wrapped around me like a heavy blanket. It had been a week since I discovered the betrayal, a week since my life spiraled into chaos when I learned that Ethan had shared my secrets with everyone at school, and a week since I decided that I could not allow myself to play the victim any longer. I focused on my reflection, tracing the dark circles under my eyes with my fingers, remnants of sleepless nights spent plotting my revenge. This ends now, I murmured to myself, my voice barely above a whisper. I could see my resolve etched in the stubborn tilt of my chin, the determination igniting a fire in my hazel eyes. I grabbed my phone and scrolled through messages, desperately trying to ignore the name that taunted me most, Ethan Carter. My fingers hovered over his name for a moment, a rush of memories crashing over me, the way we used to laugh, how safe I felt in his presence, the way everything shifted so quickly, just like that. I sighed and threw my phone onto my bed, the dull thud vibrating through the air like a reminder that I needed to focus. No more worrying about him, I told myself, and then I opened my closet, scanning my clothes as if they were pieces on a chessboard. I needed a plan, something that would give me a sense of control over this overwhelming storm of emotions. I desired to strike back in a way that would make him regret what he had done, and I knew the perfect way to do it. I had noticed the way he looked at his best friend, Olivia. He was smitten, and it was time I played my cards right. Smoothing my fingers over my favorite piece, a black leather jacket, I pulled it on and felt the cool material wrap around me like armor. With a deep breath, I stepped out of my room, the world outside my sanctuary buzzing with life. As I walked toward the school, the crisp autumn air filled my lungs, invigorating me more than I'd anticipated. The trees were ablaze with fiery reds and oranges, a stark contrast to the dark thoughts bubbling within me. I could already hear the laughter echoing from the schoolyard as students gathered in small groups, their faces flushed with the excitement of a new day. Gritting my teeth, I pushed through the double doors, the smell of cafeteria food wafting through the air, clinging to my clothes like a desperate whisper. My heart raced as I walked through the hall, spotting Ethan leaning casually against the lockers, a group of friends surrounding him. Of course, he looked completely at ease, flashing that charming smile that used to make my heart flutter. I fought to ignore the way my stomach twisted, reminding myself of my purpose. Today was not about him. Today was about bringing him back to earth. I spotted Olivia walking down the hallway, her blonde hair shining under the school's artificial lights, her laughter clear and melodic. Perfect, I had been waiting for a moment like this. I approached her with a bright smile, the kind that didn't quite reach my eyes. Olivia, hey, I called out and she turned, her face lighting up at the sight of me. Jasmine, what's up? She replied, her voice warm, but I could see the flicker of surprise at my enthusiasm. I was wondering if you want to do something after school, I said, doing my best to sound casual. Maybe we can grab smoothies from that new cafe. I hear they have the best blueberry and mint combo. Her eyebrows rose in excitement. I love that place, I'm in, what time? After school works for you, I'll text you. I grinned, feeling a surge of triumph as she nodded eagerly, oblivious to my ulterior motive. As I watched her walk away, I caught Ethan's gaze lingering on us, his expression shifting to one of confusion, maybe even jealousy. That was the spark I needed to fuel my plans. This is just the beginning, I thought, a sense of satisfaction enveloping me. The rest of my classes dragged on, each tick of the clock sending shocks of impatience through my veins. I fidgeted in my seat, my mind racing with every possible scenario, every word I would say to Olivia. During lunch, I couldn't help but glance at Ethan, who was now sulking in the corner with his friends. Good, let him stew. It was almost comforting to see him like this, a reminder of how deception could tear a person down. I wanted him miserable, just like I had felt when he betrayed me. After what felt like an eternity, the last bell rang and I felt a rush of adrenaline as I gathered my things. At the entrance, I spotted Olivia waiting for me, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Ready? She asked, her enthusiasm contagious. Absolutely, let's go, I replied, trying to match her energy. As we walked side by side, the cool breeze tousled my hair and the world around us seemed to come alive. The sound of leaves crunching beneath our shoes invigorated my spirit. Once we reached the cafe, the warm aroma of coffee and pastries enveloped us, making my stomach rumble with hunger. The cafe was bustling with people, creating a cozy yet lively atmosphere. We found a small table by the window, and I sat across from Olivia, my heart racing. The barista approached, and we placed our orders, the moment feeling strangely significant. So, how have you been? Olivia asked, leaning forward. Her brown eyes glowed with genuine curiosity. I feel like I haven't seen much of you lately. I suppressed a smile, determined to keep my tone light. Oh, just busy with school and everything, but I am excited for the upcoming school dance. Are you going? She brightened at the mention of the dance. Of course, I can't wait, I'm hoping to find a date soon. I really like this guy in my chemistry class. I nodded, trying to maintain the jovial conversation while my mind schemed. That's awesome. He's lucky to have someone as fun as you. My mind raced with the plan I'd concoct. Hey, I heard that Ethan is going to ask someone to the dance. I'm just curious. Have you heard anything? Olivia's expression shifted slightly and I seized the moment. I mean, it's all anyone can talk about. I think he's trying to win someone back. Maybe you know who that lucky girl is. She looked thoughtful, biting her lip as if weighing her words. I don't know. He did mention wanting to make things right with someone, but he didn't say who. It's not me, obviously, she added, her honest tone revealing a hint of hurt. Really? I thought you two were close, I replied, my heart pounding as I pushed forward. He always talked about you in a nice way. Now it was her turn to appear surprised. Did he? I mean, we are friends, but I didn't think he thought of you like that, I finished, injecting a hint of encouragement. Maybe you should talk to him. You never know what could happen. Olivia's brows furrowed as she considered my words, and I could almost see the gears turning in her mind. I had them right where I wanted them. Yeah, maybe, she said slowly. I guess I could reach out. I couldn't help but smile as our smoothies arrived. The vibrant colors caught the light beautifully, and I watched as she sipped, her expression filled with delight. Oh wow, this is amazing. You were right, Jasmine. You're going to love all the flavors, I grinned, feasting on her happiness and savoring the chaos I was orchestrating in my mind. You deserve to be happy and have someone who appreciates you. And just as close, she added, raising her smoothie with a laugh. To new beginnings. We toasted, clinking our cups together, and even though I did feel genuine happiness for her, the underlying current of deception charged the air between us. I could sense the tension mixing with the sweetness of fruit and mint, and I reveled in the knowledge that soon, both Ethan and Olivia would discover the lengths to which betrayal could reach and the depths of my revenge. As the afternoon went on, we enjoyed our drinks and chatted about everything, and yet my mind remained fixated on the upcoming dance. Once we parted ways, I felt exhilarated and terrified all at once. I had a plan, but I needed to execute it perfectly. The sun began to set as I made my way home, the sky painted in hues of purple and gold. I could envision the moment when Ethan would learn what I had set into motion, and anticipation quickened my steps. My heart raced not from anxiety but from excitement. I was not going to be the one left broken anymore. That night, I sat at my desk, surrounded by notes and ideas for the ultimate plan. My phone buzzed beside me and I glanced at it. It was a text from Olivia. "Thanks for today. I really had a great time. Let's do it again soon." I smiled, but a flicker of mischief danced in my eyes. "You have no idea how soon that would be," I whispered into the quiet confines of my room, anticipation crackling in the air like static electricity before a storm. Tomorrow was going to be the turning point. Tomorrow, the revenge I had been waiting for would finally begin to take shape, and I would revel in every moment of it. I would not allow Ethan's betrayal to define me. Instead, I would take control and turn the tables. The taste of sweet revenge was close, and I could almost savor it as a smile crawled across my face, settling into something more sinister. As I plotted my next move, the air felt heavy as I stepped into the dimly lit hallway of Maplewood High, my heart drumming a frantic rhythm against my ribs. I had thought I could escape the echo of my past and the gnawing resentment that festered deep within me, but those thoughts evaporated as I approached the small, heart-shaped mirror hanging by my locker. It had once been my favorite place to check my appearance before marching into the world, an innocent ritual I used to cherish. Now it felt like a portal into a world where everything had changed. I leaned forward, twisting the lock on my locker, trying to ignore the reflection staring back at me, a girl with wide, anxious eyes standing on the precipice of an unthinkable journey. "Hey Jasmine, are you okay?" The bright voice of Jenna broke through my swirling thoughts like a ray of light cutting through a thick fog. She was my best friend, but now, standing there with her bubbly blonde hair and warm smile, I felt a twinge of guilt. How could I drag her into the chaos I was planning? I forced a smile onto my face to keep her worry at bay. "Yeah, I'm fine," I replied weakly, glancing back at the mirror. "Just a little tired, I guess." "What, from all those late-night Netflix binges?" She laughed, light and airy, but I could see the concern flickering behind her hazel eyes. I wanted to tell her everything, the weight on my shoulders, the anger simmering beneath my skin, but how could I? How could I explain the burgeoning plan that was slowly taking shape in my mind? I busied myself with shoving books into my bag, trying to keep her from asking too many questions. "Jasmine, seriously, if something's wrong, you can talk to me, I mean it. Are you still upset about that incident at school last week?" Her voice softened, turning sincere as she took a step closer, her brow furrowing. The mention of that incident sent a prick of fury through my veins. The way the popular kids had laughed at me when I stumbled on the gym floor, in front of everyone, the charade they had pulled set everything into motion. "Ugh, I really don't want to talk about it," I snapped a little too fiercely, glancing up at her. Her expression showed surprise mixed with hurt, and immediately I regretted my tone. "Sorry," I mumbled, looking down at the crumpled piece of paper in my hand, the one with the names of everyone I wanted to confront. "Well, get back at, really. Let's just get out of here, all right. I have some plans," I suggested, a hint of mischief creeping back into my voice. Jenna raised an eyebrow suspiciously. "Plans? What plans?" I took a deep breath, a swarm of butterflies clashing in my stomach as I tried to choose my next words wisely. "Just some stuff, nothing big. Can we just go?" I managed to say, injecting a slight edge of excitement into my tone to pique her curiosity. "Fine, go on with your secret plans, but I am definitely going to find out what they are," she huffed playfully, throwing her arm around my shoulder as we made our way out of the hallway and onto the bustling campus. The sun streamed down, illuminating the paths we used to tread without a second thought, but today it cast shadows that loomed larger than life, shadows of doubt and fear mingling with the determination I fought to keep close. As we stepped outside, the smell of freshly cut grass filled the air, mixing with the chatter of students and sounds of laughter reverberating everywhere. It should have been a comfort, but my stomach tightened at the laughter that seemed to mock my very existence. "I am serious about that movie night this weekend, you know," Jenna said, pulling me from my spiraling thoughts. You and me, popcorn, and whatever cheesy romance flick is on. You better not ditch me for some make-believe plans. I chuckled softly, grateful for the distraction, imagining how that movie night might be filled with warmth instead of cold revenge. I would never ditch you, I'll be there. Promise, I promise. We continued walking toward my favorite tree, the big oak near the edge of the schoolyard, where we always went to talk about life and everything in between. As we settled down, I took a moment to enjoy the canopy of leaves, the shade offering a brief sense of solace from lifeless classrooms. This tree held nearly every secret we shared, and now it felt like I was about to let it down by keeping my true thoughts hidden. I exhaled slowly and turned toward Jenna, who looked at me with eager eyes, as if she could read the storm brewing beneath my surface. So what are your plans for the rest of the day, him? I asked, trying to divert her attention from my unspoken thoughts. Oh, just the usual, hanging out with the squad, maybe a trip to the diner, she said, her gaze sweeping over the sunlit courtyard. You know the usual stuff. Nodding, I let a small smile grace my lips. I guess you will survive without me then. Yeah, barely, she joked, but her expression turned serious as she continued. Really, Jasmine, just be careful. I worry about you. I lowered my gaze for a moment, the warmth of her words settling in my heart like a soft blanket. You know, it feels good to have someone watch out for me, I said, my voice barely a whisper. Of course, you are my best friend. Those simple words wrapped me in an unexpected comfort, but deep down, I knew I was at a crossroads. I could either continue to wallow in my embarrassment or take the plunge into the deep, murky waters of my revenge. I had dreamed about confronting Taylor and the others, the ones who had made my life miserable. Today might be the day to lay the foundations of my plans into reality. Do you ever think about revenge? I blurted out unexpectedly, watching her reaction closely. I needed to gauge her thoughts on the uncensored version of my plan rather than keeping my brain walled off. Jenna seemed taken aback, her eyes widening in surprise. Revenge? Like, what are you talking about? I hesitated, weighing my options and deciding just how much I wanted to share. The way those jerks at school treat us, it just makes me want to get back at them. You know, oh God, Jasmine, are you serious? You can't mean that. Her voice turned serious, a hint of panic flaring in her features. It's not worth it, just let it go. My heart sank at her reaction. But it is worth it, it's what they deserve. She closed her eyes for a second, gathering her thoughts. Jasmine, I get that you are hurt. I know it feels unfair, but doing something rash won't fix it. It just causes more trouble. But I want them to feel a little of what I've felt, the mockery, the pain. As the words came rushing out, I could feel the anger surging through me, hot and vivid, like flames licking at my insides. Listen, I get it. Sometimes I want to punch Sarah right in her face for how rude she can be, but revenge only digs a deeper hole. What about talking to someone or confronting them? This could turn really ugly, Jenna said, earnest worry lining her voice. Deep inside, I knew she was right. There was more than one way to stand up for myself, but what if standing tall in front of them, declaring my pride, didn't do anything to avenge the hurt? What would you suggest then? I asked, my tone deflating a little, the fight withheld momentarily. Honestly, she began. Maybe try to rise above it. Show them you're stronger than they think you are. Don't give them the satisfaction of knowing they got to you. There it was, the flicker of hope blossoming like a stubborn flower through cracked concrete. Yet part of me still craved that final vindictive blow. I just want to make them realize they cannot keep pushing me around, I replied, clenching my fists tightly in my lap. Then show them, Jenna said, a hint of determination lacing her words. But be smart about it. Revenge doesn't always have to be petty or malicious. You can find strength in yourself and use that to move on. That will hit them harder than anything. Analyzing her words, I realized that maybe there was an opening for me. Channeling my pain into empowerment instead of anger felt like the better choice. A gust of wind rustled the trees around us, bringing an abrupt change to the air, and for the first time, I could feel the distinct possibility of rising back from the ashes of embarrassment. Maybe this was the moment I could give myself permission to forge a new path, one that didn't spit venom back but instead radiated strength and renewal. I think I want to try it your way, I said softly, feeling the weight on my shoulders ease ever so slightly. Great. I am so proud of you for saying that, Jenna beamed. We will work on it together, I promise. With renewed determination blooming in my heart, I wondered if there could be a way to confront Taylor and reclaim my dignity without losing myself in the process. Maybe I could find that balance, channel my energy into a plan that would show them the person I had become, the resilient girl staring back at me in the heart-shaped mirror. As we got up from under the oak, I felt the sense of clarity guiding me toward a different journey. There was still strength in the knowledge that I had the right to stand tall, fortified by a friendship that sought growth and not destruction. And who knows? Perhaps the opportunity to confront them would arise, but this time I would carry grace with me as my shield. The sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting warm hues of orange and pink across the horizon, and for the first time in long memory, I felt ready to embrace whatever came next. And with Jenna by my side, I knew I could take on the world, no matter how intimidating it was. Even if that world was still brimming with bullies and fake friends, I wouldn't back down, not anymore. I would be my own reflection, ready to claim my rightful place in Maplewood High.